Hey, what's happening? What's happening, ladies and gents? It's me coming back at you again with another live stream vid. I'm going to keep this under 30 minutes the best way I can because I understand there's a lot of people that are pretty much going to bed as we speak. We have one day left before the weekend starts. So that's definitely a blessing when the weekend comes. I'm not sure about you guys, but when I get this urgency that the Friday is approaching us, I just have this excitement that, you know what, it's the last day of the week, a long work week. I can relax, I can recuperate, and enjoy my time with my wife or my loved ones, rest, sleep in as much as I can, and then don't let the rest of the day go by on the weekend. So, yeah, very thrilled that Friday's coming up. For those of you who may be listening, I promise I'll keep this under 30 minutes or a little bit more, depending on how. How fast I get through the list of topics that I have, which aren't much of them, but I definitely want to go into them in detail the best way I can without dragging it on, as you want to call it. So I'm going to talk about Eddie Hearn finally responding to losing the Fury-Whyte purse bid. Anthony Joshua's recent comments that Eddie Hearn has revealed, and briefly talk about the DAZN and the BT Sport merger collapse. In case many of you don't know, the talks have died, whatnot, but I'll get into more detail about that the best way I can. And also, I want to get into Deontay Wilder. Yes, Deontay Wilder has been offered a fight with Joseph Parker. I'm not sure if he's been offered the fight, but it appears that his promoter's been doing some talking, and he's interested in putting that fight together. So uh, we'll um, we'll get into that, but I'm gonna go ahead and start off with the Eddie Hearn comments. I see somebody coming in. Hey, what's up, Mala? Mala says that Joshua doesn't need a trainer to beat Usyk. Well, I'll get into that later, but yeah, I'll go into in depth detail, break down the psychology behind that statement, whatnot. But first things first, Eddie Hearn have he's in New York. Well, actually, I don't think he's in New York now. He just left New York. He's in I think he's in Arizona somewhere in Mexico promoting another fight. He's definitely a busy man. The one thing you gotta say about Eddie Hearn, he gets a lot of flack and from his rivals and from his detractors, but he's always on the go, man. It seems like the man never sleeps. It's like he lives his life on the road. He's like he's always on a plane. He's always in another state, another country. He's just all over the place, man. So you got to give, this is just goes to show that he's a very ambitious guy, and he's trying. He's pretty much successfully grown his brand that his father started, Matchroom, into a global force in a way. Probably not the way he wants it, but it's still a significant presence one way or the other. So got to give him a lot of credit for that, for being an ambitious guy to expand his father's business. Pretty much his family operated, but still, he's expanded it, and he's created some great partnerships with that brand. So, and some of them have fell through. We all know that, but I might go into that as well. But anyhow, yeah, what up, Haplo? Anyhow, he's come out, and he gave an interview in New York. This is in the first presser of Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, whatnot, and Jake Paul was there. And those of you don't know, Jake Paul is the promoter of Miranda Serrano. I'm sorry, man, Amanda Serrano, for MVP Promotions. So it's a Matchroom. It's a co-promoted event, but Matchroom is the one who kind of oversees the event because they're the ones who putting up the funding for it. So they're the lead promoter on this project, which is obviously that's the understandable and that's the case. But anyhow, Michelle Joy Phelps pretty much got the scoop on, not the scoop, but she's the first one to pretty much present the questions to Eddie about the purse bid, to ask him to comment on that. And he was pretty rattled. You could tell by his facial expressions that he did not want to really touch upon that issue. But I'm pretty sure, but given the fact that him and Michelle Joy Phelps have this bond over the years, I'm pretty sure that she did give him a list of a she listed the a line item of questions that she was going to ask, and he had to approve them. Obviously, I think that was the case. But I guess he, as a professional, I'm sure he said, I got to address it one way or the other. I can't continue to stay quiet on the issue. But as soon as Michelle Joy Phelps asked him to comment on it, again, he just became rattled. He became bitter about the situation. He pretty much said that, well, what do you want me to say? I lost the purse bid, and I got people online harassing me about this. Paraphrasing what he said. I got people online harassing me about this. I lost a fight. What do you want me to say? It's not my fight to promote, you know? And he also went on to say that, look, somehow, some way they could have inflated the Tyson Fury's purse to, to win the bid. Which, I wouldn't doubt that's not a false false thing to say, because that could be a possibility, but who knows? If the fight were to happen in the United States, particularly in Vegas, you have to disclose the purses that the fighters are getting paid. That is verified by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. That is by rule. I'm not sure if that's the case in the United Kingdom. I don't think you have to reveal those figures. So, but who knows, man? But the fact is, he lost the purse bid, and he also said that Frank Warren, or Top Rank, whoever, they have yet to put down a security deposit to fully secure the fight, which is 10% of the winning bid, which is, I think, roughly about what's 10% of 41 million, about $4.5 million roughly. So yeah, so that they have yet to do that, and I think they have about 5 days from today to put down the deposit, which I don't see reason why they wouldn't do that. But he went on to say that, he also was asked about the deadline that the WBC had issued to Dillian-Whyte, and in this case, Tyson Fury as well, that they both have to show proof of signed agreements by February 21st. He went on to say that, what, first things first, we haven't even seen a contract yet. So, and he also hinted that don't be surprised, or this is what he said. He also said that don't be surprised if Team Fury pulls out of this fight. So, okay. So he said, don't be surprised they pull out of the fight. And then he also went on to say that, who knows if the fight will happen. I'm like, okay, so you're saying Team Fury may pull out, but then you come out and say that who knows if we're going to take the fight. I'm like, wait a minute, dude. Wait a minute. That's not a reassuring answer that Fury-Whyte is going to fight. And I'll say this, and I'm going to say this again. Based off the behavior and the way this thing has been handled, I'm going to lean towards the fact that this fight's not going to happen. I could be wrong. But I just have a feeling that this thing's not going to go ahead. I really have a strong feeling, because the way Dillian-Whyte's been behaving, he hasn't said anything about this after the purse bid was called. After the purse bid had concluded. He has yet to say a word. I know some people are defending him, saying that, well, there's arbitration that's looming, so he doesn't have to, he can't say anything. Well, okay, I don't get that narrative, that argument, because the arbitration was looming before the purse bid, and yet Eddie Hearn and Dillian-Whyte were going out there talking. They were talking a game as if they were confident they're going to win it. The law was going to see it their favor, and they felt that they were very confident about winning the purse bid, winning the rights to the fight. Now that they've lost the fight on the purse bid, it doesn't seem like to me that the arbitration here is going their favor as we speak. They're very quiet about it. Someone brought this to my attention and suggested that, what, all this quietness could mean one thing. It could be either they are trying to sabotage the fight, or more than likely that, and they're going to pull out eventually. I have a reason to believe that. And then again, Eddie Hearn may have a bit of a point. There's a possibility that Tyson Fury team may pull out. It depending how the arbitrator rules. If they rule in Dillian-Whyte's favor, they might just pull out of the fight. We'll see. Haplo said that he could say there's an arbitration looming, but I can't comment, rather than say nothing, just saying, you know what, that's a good point. Why don't they just come out and say that? In fact, Eddie Hearn has been talking right now. So what's this whole arbitration? Oh, Dillian or Eddie can't say nothing because of the arbitration hearing is looming. Well, Eddie Hearn just came out to comment right now. He could have, like you said, Haplotype, he could have said that, or Dillian-Whyte could have said that, just to get people off their back. Here it is. We're nearly over a week now since they lost the purse bid, and yet they're still remaining very quiet, very suspect about the situation. Like I said, I believe they're going to pull out. And there's a strong indication that Eddie Hearn and Dillian Whyte have already plotted to do so, because I think that Eddie Hearn probably went into Dillian. They had a private conversation, and he told Dillian, "Look, just pull out. I can guarantee you a bigger purse. Not saying bigger purse. I can guarantee you equally matched purse, and I'll get you a shot at Joshua and Usyk." Or what I mean by that is that he can say, "Well, I want you to fight Alexander Usyk, or vice versa. You can fight Anthony Joshua. If you beat Joshua, you get a shot at Usyk. Now, if you want to fight Usyk right away, I'll give you that fight as well. Should you beat Usyk, then then I can guarantee you that you call the shots for the Joshua fight," which I doubt, but I'm just saying that could be a possibility that he can give him Joshua Usyk and pay him more than what he would get for the Fury fight potentially. So that's probably the discussions they have right now. But I think it's more to that. I think it just goes to the fact that Eddie Hearn has such an ego. And let's be honest, there is a lot of ego going on between these promoters. He's just so bitter to the point that he lost one of the biggest UK fights in history. This is the second one he lost within the month. He lost Khan and Brook. He was arrogant about that situation. He was first approached to stage the fight, but he said, "You know what? Both of these guys are shot. They're out of their prime. They've been knocked out so many times. There's no point in staging the fight. There's no interest." And, Brook hasn't fought, he fought last year. Khan hasn't been active. So what's the point of staging that fight? Lo and behold, Eddie Hearn didn't think this thoroughly, didn't realize that Khan and Brook still have a name in the UK scene. In fact, they sold out. As soon as the tickets went on sale, they sold out within less than 10 minutes at the O2 or Manchester, I think. Oh, man. I'm sure he's regretting that one. And now he's regretting the fact that he lost the purse bid. So that's two fights, two big UK fights that he lost within a month. Two of them. Two of them. And I'm sure he's not happy about this. And he's probably, I'm not sure if he's losing any sleep over it, but I guess all that traveling does get his mind off that stuff. But it's just not looking good, man. And I said, in the end of last year, that Matchroom really needs to recover. And I said that hopefully they can recover starting this year. So far, it's becoming worse than it was last year in a way, because all their top fighters have lost in big, in stunning upsets or gotten beat up badly. Shannon Courtney lost her title on the weight scales, then lost the fight, against the underdog and Jamie Mitchell. Okay, and then Courtney coming out at that time thought she was robbed on the cards, which is bullshit. She clearly lost the fight. We haven't seen her ever since. Josh Warrington got starched out by Mauricio Lara. I think that was late 2020 during the middle of the lockdown, but Warrington didn't quite recover. I know he was lucky to get that no contest against Lara, because he was on his way getting knocked out in that fight. But anyways, it is what it is. Joshua took a beat, took a humiliating loss and a beating at the end of that fight against Usyk. Who else is there? Kid Gallahan getting knocked out by the shot over the hill, Kiko Martinez. Then you had Alicia Baumgartner, who starched out Terry Harper. I mean, that was a horrible year for Matchroom. And to be fair, PBC had a bad year as well, but it goes to show, though, going into 2022, it's not looking good for Eddie Hearn at all with Matchroom. It's just like they continue to lose fighters to Boxer, their rival. There's no signs of them going back to Frank Warren or going to Frank Warren, but Frank Warren's still recruiting some fighters. And it's funny, though, because we all thought that Frank Warren is like dead in the water with his brand. That out of nowhere, he just comes back and he reemerges. He resurges. And this is not the first time he's ever resurged into in the boxing game in the UK. Because there was times that many people thought he was out. He should just throw in the towel and just call it a career. But he just keeps on coming back. It's like whatever you throw at Frank, he just keeps coming back. He just keeps doing it. And I think he's very fortunate that Tyson Fury has pretty much bailed out his brand financially. Let's be real. If he didn't have Fury, who knows what Queensberry would be at this point? Without you gotta he's got to thank Tyson Fury for that, to pull him out of that jam. With the Wilder fights and the 4 other tune-ups that he had too in the process. So yeah. But anyhow, Eddie is a little bitter. He's very angry about it. He doesn't really want to talk about the purse bid. I mean, as a professional, he knows he has to address it. But if this was Bob Arum and Frank Warren, they wouldn't even dare to comment on the situation like this, pretty much. I mean, at some point, sometime they may, but Yeah, like I said, guys, it doesn't look good at all because even Lamar Scott, oh, I'm sorry, Dean White, he's even come out and put out a series of interviews and said that he's very pessimistic about the fight happening. So, yeah, hope I'm wrong. I'm going to cross my fingers on this one. Hopefully they can, put their egos aside, give the fans what they want because I want to see this fight. I really want to see this fight. I really do. So, yeah, man, I just think that Eddie, yeah, you know, he's having a tough time right now with Matchroom and his brand at this point. And speaking of that, speaking of Anthony Joshua, let's move on to him. And before I get into that, he keeps on griping about how the fact that Fury refused to fight Usyk. He's keep griping about that, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, hold on. Your fighter has a rematch with Usyk. Okay, again, it kills the narrative that AJ doesn't want to step aside. He did clearly wants to step aside. He wants Fury to do the dirty work for him. That's what they really wanted. And then he comes back and says that AJ don't want to step aside, but yet then again he turns around and says that we were going to step aside. So which is it, Eddie? Either you want to step aside or you didn't, because it seemed to me that just to interpret what he said, it seems like, yeah, Joshua in his heart, in his mind, says that he doesn't want to step aside, but I convinced him to do it because I told him that he's clearly not ready for the fight. He needs more time to prepare. So that's what I got from that line of answer, that when he keeps rambling and griping about the fact that Fury refused to fight Usyk immediately. But anyhow, he went on to say that Anthony Joshua wants to fight Usyk straight away, right? Okay. So if that's the case, he says he's willing to fight Usyk right away. And then Hearn says, what the conversation he had with AJ, he says, well, wait a minute. How do you want to fight him straight away? You don't even have a trainer yet. And then he says that, well, AJ told me that I could beat Usyk without a trainer. He said that Anthony Joshua told him that I could beat Usyk without a trainer. All right, look, Anthony Joshua is a very articulate guy, all right? He's very articulate. If he truly said that, I'm not sure if that's just mind games to get into Usyk's head, which I really doubt that's going to work, or he's just trying to psych himself up to believing that he can actually win the rematch. Now, remind you, Deontay Wilder said some stupid shit leading up to the third Fury fight. And I always told people that, you know what? He does say some dumb shit, but I think he's doing that for a purpose, for a psychological purpose, because he's trying to psych himself to believing that that second fight against Fury was that he got hard done by. That's what he truly believes. Now, Joshua probably believes that he lost in a fluke or he wasn't right. He's just trying to convince himself that he can win the rematch. It's just not going to work. That psychology is not going to work with a guy like Alexander Usyk. It's not going to work. All right. And by the way, we still have yet to hear when that rematch is going to take place. And Michelle Joy Phelps asked Eddie Hearn about that. And Eddie Hearn said, well, she said, well, you did say previously that the fight was going to happen in March and April, but it looks like that's not the case. So when are we going to actually see Joshua Usyk rematch? He said, well, we're actually looking in May or June or something like that. Oh, Lord. I guarantee you this, guys. When April hits, it's going to happen at the end of the year. Or better yet, there's a possibility that Joshua is going to pull an injury. They say he may be injured, so he can't go forward with the rematch. I don't know why they're dragging this along, man. Just say that you don't want the fight and get out of it. Yes, you're going to get criticized for pulling out, but if you're not ready, you're not ready. The public is very forgiving with a guy like Anthony Joshua. They may be upset with him, but don't worry. Fighters get forgiven down the road. Just say it, okay? I don't know why in the world that Joshua's going to invoke a rematch clause, and this is going back to October of last year. He invokes a rematch clause. Here we are in February, 4 months in, and yet there's no announcement of the rematch, no announcement of the venue or the date, I should say. We're 4 months in, and yet he doesn't have his training situation sorted out. This is fucking nuts. And sorry, I don't mean to curse, but this is madness. Deontay Wilder, I hate to refer back to the fact, I should say. Deontay Wilder, when he took that beating for Tyson Fury in the second fight, he invoked his rematch clause a week after that loss, right? And then a week later or so, the rematch was announced with a date and a venue. And that was February. No, I say that was for July 20th, 2020, until the lockdown came and shut everything down. Wilder put his whole team, along with Top Rank, put everything together within 2 or 3 weeks after that loss. And here we are with Joshua. We're 4 months in, and we don't know what's going on. Like I said, dude, I don't know why they keep. This is like sometimes this is Matchroom Hearn, Hearn and Joshua's own doing. If they have no intention of fighting Usyk, you could have said that after the fight. You could have said that a month or so after the fight. Say, you know what, we're going to go our separate way. Yes, fans will be angry about it. So I don't know, man. He just need to. They need to sort this out, man. I don't get it. They need to sort this out. At this point, like I said, Joshua is not ready for that rematch. He's not only, he does have the physical attributes, but he doesn't have the psychology to apply those attributes against a guy like Usyk. He doesn't have it. And I'm going to say this again. He needs to just let Usyk go his way. He's not clearly ready for it. He needs more time to think about this. He needs more time to prepare. He needs to figure out where he's going to move his career. And I think that's why Eddie Hearn is going to sit down and let him know. Let's see. Who is this guy, Jimbo? Hey, shout out to I'm gonna go down the comments. Haplotype. If White pulls out of the fight, he's blowing his career and should just retire. Look, I wouldn't say he should retire. I mean, he is about Deontay Wilder's age. I mean, he's 35. Yeah, and he's Usyk's age. Nah, look, that's still young for a heavyweight, believe it or not. I'm not saying he should retire, but the question is, where does he go? Because he's turned down many title opportunities. He's turned down, if let's just say hypothetically, he turns down the Fury fight. This would be the second time he's turned down a direct shot at the title. And not only that, he's turned down like 4 or 5 eliminators where he could have positioned himself to be the mandatory challenger. So this guy's been passing up many opportunities where he could have gotten, got a shot at the title. If he blows this one, I mean, can he recover? That's hard to say, but at this point it will be a major blow where people, will probably want to be investing into White if he pulls out his fight. So there's a lot of pressure for him to take it. A lot of pressure. More so than Fury for taking it. So that's just the honest truth. Actual facts, shout out to you, man. Yeah, RP to Kurt Sugar, man. I found out yesterday on Blood's upload. He did for me, not for me, but I did see it, and I think Blue Blood's Sports TV announced it on his channel. And of course, you guys don't know Kurt and Blue Blood. They used to have their little segments together. And the thing about Kurt Anderson, man, he is actually one of the most respected. He was one of the most respected boxing minds and intellects that I've ever met. I mean, he actually knew his stuff. He literally could tell you things that I was unaware of. And we have these conversations and we go back and forth about it. And, there were sometimes I told him things that he was unaware of. So, we learned from each other. I mean, I wish I interacted with him a bit more. But at the short time span, I learned a lot from him. And he was actually a wise individual. I think we had one little disagreement. It wasn't that bad. I know he didn't, when I told him that Floyd avoided the Antonio Margarito fight, which he didn't really believe, but it wasn't nothing, serious about that. And I kind of let him know. I was like, yeah, he did. It's all documented. Floyd avoided the fight, but that doesn't mean he's not a great fighter. Floyd's definitely a greater fighter than Margarito. I'm just saying he didn't take the fight. I'm just being honest. But you know what? At the end of the day, he was a great boxing mind, intellect, told great stories. I know him and Stormy B. I know they would have their, their 3 wise men sessions, man, and those were very, very, very informative things to watch. Him, Stormy B, Scrapbook Boxing. Shout out to Scrapbook, man. Scrapbook put up some great stuff, man. If you want any historical content about boxing, if you need to learn, if you want to learn some have some insight on the historical facts about boxing and the fighters from the past, I suggest to subscribe to Scrapbook Boxing. He's a great, great source of that information. All right. Who's this guy? Jimbo. Hashtag MOB. My own business. Jimbo says that White's messing with the promotion at the event and wants it to flop. He's got the purse set. He's unhappy with the percentage. He doesn't want the event to lose money. Well, okay, that's what he wants to do. So be it. I wish he'd just come out and say that. I don't think he will, but just say something, man, because people are wondering why the hell you're quiet. Because again, it's just that if that's the case, that just shows bitterness that they were trying to control the event and they lost their chances in the first bit to do so. So now they're trying to be vindictive. But hey, it is what it is. It's no compromise in this business of boxing. All three Wilder Fury fights lost money. I doubt Warren and Aaron make too much money on this one. Well, to be fair, the first Fury and Wilder fight made money. They actually made a profit on that first fight because the purses weren't too high for that one. But the second and third one, yeah, they definitely lost some revenue on those fights. Yeah. Haplotype. Let's see. Apple says trying to make the biggest fight a failure for any reason is asinine, Jimbo. This is his chance to make him become a bigger star. If he blows this, he's done. Yeah, he's he can't blow this. So yeah, Jimbo, you bring up that guy's name on my channel. Let's see. Nah, he called me the dog. Yeah, that's another racist term, but he doesn't want doesn't understand that fact. Well, I don't know why he, called me that. I guess it goes back to the fact that I wouldn't take a side on the Joshua and the Wilder situation. And also it goes into the fact that I was still, at the time, communicate with some of the guys that were, ardent Wilder supporters, and they were disrespecting AJ. But what they don't know, what he didn't know, is that I would have disagreement with these guys, and they didn't like the fact that I would defend AJ. He didn't know. He probably doesn't acknowledge that, or he didn't care. But the fact is that just because I wouldn't take a side in that Joshua and Wilder situation, even though I was a Wilder fan, but I try to stay in the middle on that situation the best way I can. I did, and he didn't like that. So, he went on to call me names. The dog is somewhat of a racial slur in a way, which he doesn't understand. It is a racial slur. So, yeah, I said my piece about the situation, and then he kept, disrespecting me. I ignored it. But until he kept doing it and taking side shots in his videos, even though he was being a hypocrite because he didn't like it when people were taking shots at him. And he said that, well, I want to, tend to myself. I want to make my own uploads. And then he just keep taking shots at people. Well, I'm like, okay, if you want to stay to your own, space and your own channel, so be it. Do that. But yet you continue to take shots. And then when people respond to you, you want to play the victim. No, don't do that. And I responded by throwing out some information that he didn't want to hear. And he knows that too. So, yeah. I don't get why he did that, but it is what it is. I mean, I said my piece. You call me a bitch, Jimbo? You call me a bitch? I hope you're not doing that, because if you are, I'm gonna block you. Because I rarely block people on my channel. I want you to respond to that. If you don't respond in within 5 minutes, you're getting booted off this channel. If you call me a bitch, just say it. So that's the thing about these keyboard warriors, man. The thing about the internet, about the cyber world, is that people have the freedom to say what they want to say without suffering much repercussions for it. Then again, it depends on the situation. They can. Now, you got guys out there who calling black dudes niggers and this, that, and the third, and they can get away with it because they're behind a keyboard. They know they won't be, there's nothing in that person who's been called a derogatory name to can't do anything about that. But in actuality, they know they can't say that in our faces. So that's why they have this cyber world where they have the freedom to say what they want to say. But in the real world, they can't say it because they know it's not going to end pretty if they do. So, yeah. Sounds like you're agreeing and not agreeing, Dan. If he pulls out career blown, just retire. Well, I agree to disagree. You got that right, Haplotype. I agree it's going to be a huge setback for Dillian White's career. I don't think it's going to be blown, but I will say it's going to be a tough road for him to claw back from that if he pulls out. Then again, like I said earlier, that Eddie Hearn can set him up and keep an in-house fight with him versus Joshua, and then keep it in-house between Joshua and Usyk and White. That's what Eddie Hearn can do, and I have a feeling that's what they're planning. That's the plan they're drafting right now. Since Fury is going to keep fucking us around in Top Rank, it's going to do that along with Queensberry, then we're going to throw it back at them. We're going to keep our fights in-house with Usyk and Joshua. That's all they have to do. And there's a again, I think there's a strong possibility. There's a strong belief, in my opinion. I think that's what that's what they're planning. They're implementing some form plan to keep those three fighters in house with Matchroom. That's just my opinion. Yeah, Kurt and I disagreed often, but I respected his boxing knowledge, and it's a loss for the community that he's no longer with us. Yeah, absolutely, man. I remember you and Kurt used to go at it, man. Absolutely, man. It's a huge loss. A great mind, very respectful. Like I said, me and him, we only disagreed on one thing, but other than that, we just, we agreed on everything. We enjoy talking about the historical content of the sport, which we don't get a lot on this platform. I know a couple of channels do it, like Scrapbook, but I think we need more of that because that kind of bridges the gap of the vitriol that we go through with the modern day fight, with modern day boxing. So, because to me, whenever we talk about history, it kind of like brings people together. You know, it kind of brings people down to earth in a way. The egos kind of takes a back seat in the historical discussions on most cases. But then again, you have some fight guys out there who disrespect the fighters of the past, and I know they have their reasons to do it because, well, how could I call this guy great and I haven't seen him fight? Fair enough, fair enough. But you have to study on the guy before you call a modern day fighter great because the guy from the past actually did a lot more greater things than the fighter that you revere. So that's why it's very important to distinguish those core points when it comes to discussing history and trying to compare and contrast fighters of today versus the fighters of yesterday. So yeah, what else, Smoke? Haplo says that BL isn't racist. No, no, I don't think he is, but he probably didn't understand when he called me that the dog called me a dog. He doesn't understand that could be used as a racial slur. He probably didn't understand that, and he needs to be educated on that. So, and I had to let him know, one of my responses many years ago that you call me that, then you do understand you're crossing the line. And I asked him repeatedly to come on alive and we'll address this like men, and he refused to do it on several occasions. So, like I said, though, I don't really want to spend my time on him. I forgot he actually still had a channel, but hey, it is what it is, man. Sometimes friendships can't be broken over something petty. That's the way it is. This is just petty talk. It's boxing at the end of the day. And look. I've said this and I'll say it again. During this whole ordeal with Joshua and Wilder, what was the end result? Joshua takes a loss. He loses his title to Ruiz. Yeah, he got it back. Then he loses again to Usyk. 2 fights later. And now Joshua is in limbo. Wilder loses his title to Tyson Fury. And then he had a shot to get it back in the third fight. He failed again. He took 2 back-to-back beatings. So now we have 2 fighters that we're arguing about for 4 years now, or 5 years at this point. And the end result is that both of them are fucked up. Both of them don't have their titles. Both of them took bad beatings. And both of them are on the decline. So where are we at this point? All this bickering over these 2 fighters and they don't have a title. Joshua definitely doesn't look like he's going to get his title back anytime soon by the way the way he's behaving. And Wilder, that's yet to be determined because we don't know if he's going to come back. We don't know for sure. So now you got Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk that's pretty much have to come in and clean this shit up between these the vitriol that we had to experience over the last 4 or 5 years at that point, or 3 years I should say. They came in and cleaned it all up. I know that's the ugly truth, but they did. So yeah, I'm gonna move on from that point. I'm gonna move on from this. Let's see. Yeah, quick. Kurt passed away, man. He passed away a couple of days ago, I believe. So again, is that right, bruh? You a pimp hand, so you a pimp? So you be pimping bitches? Well, if that's the case, then you're a fucking low life and you're a loser, bruh. You amount to nothing in life. That's what you are, a fucking failure. If you're a pimp. All right? And real talk, you say it in my face, I'll tell you what, tell me where you're located. Tell me where you're located. Yeah, man. Yeah, Quick says I hope Wilder comes back soon, but but maybe he'll retire. Yeah, you know what? I think to me he's kind of like he's in a situation where he's got one foot in and one foot out the door. What do I mean by that? I believe that Wilder has he pretty much has a roadmap of what fights he's going to take. Maybe three, maybe four more fights. Who knows? But it's not going to be in for the long run from the looks of it. He may come, like I said, I think he's going to come back for three or four fights because at this point, I think the PBC needs him right now as far as from a financial standpoint because Wilder's their biggest moneymaker. He's their biggest draw, and they can't afford to lose him at this point. But like to your point though, who knows where he is mentally? Physically, he may have recovered, but mentally, we don't know where he's at. This is the same thing for Joshua. Physically, he still has his attributes. He may be there, but mentally, we don't know where he's at against Usyk. Now, to be fair, I know age-wise Joshua's younger, but at the same time, he's taken some bad beatings too, just like Wilder did. So, and Wilder's older because the reflexes slow down at the older age as opposed to a younger age. But then again, who knows? Fighters lose their reflexes depending on how much, the battles they go through. Like Fernando Vargas. Fernando Vargas, when he was, going through the wars with guys like Ike Corte, Winky Wright, Felix Trinidad, Oscar De La Hoya, Shane Mosley twice, and so forth. Ricardo Mayorga, pretty much that was his last professional fight. You could tell, during the course of those fights, Fernando's sharpness and reflexes and his speed was declining because of the beatings he was taking. And mind you, Fernando retired before he was 30 years old because of the beatings and the wars that he took. It was too much. It took too much on his body. The injuries that he was suffering, especially on his back, couldn't make having trouble making weights for fights. This is a lot of contributing factors what led to his career ending early. Then pretty much you could say ended early because he was less than 30. Yeah, he had 32 fights I believe or 31 fights, but yeah, it just it's just a not saying it was a disappointing career for Fernando Vargas. He had a good career in a way because he did have some good wins. He got a Hall of Fame win against Winky Wright, even though I believe that Winky won the fight, but it was close. Could have gone either way. He's got that Hall of Fame win. He's got the Ike Corte win. He's got the Yorboy Campos win. Some people look at Yorboy Campos as not really a elite fighter because his record's kind of padded. I know that's the argument that people make about Yorboy Campos. Fair enough. Raul Marquez was a decent win. Um, Ross the Boss Thompson. I know that was a mandatory challenger for the IBF title. Other than that, after when he fought Trinidad, that was like that's when the decline started to happen. He lost to Trinidad, took a beating in that fight. Then he fought Javier Castillo, the Spanish light middleweight, and then he fought Oscar De La Hoya, who took in that fight took a bad beating in that fight too. Fought Shane Mosley twice in both of those fights. He took a bad beating. In the second fight, he suffered a knockout. Then he fought Ricardo Mayorga, and that was the end of his career. So, yeah, it was a sad ending to Fernando Vargas's career. And health wise, you could tell he's not really doing uh, that well, because he is punch drunk. He is slurring, with his speeches over the years. So, yeah, man, the beatings that he took at a young age, man, he knew at that point he couldn't do the things that he used to do when he was younger. So, the injuries, problems making weight, the beatings, it's just like a lot of stuff accumulated to the fact that he was losing, he was losing his prime early. That's what I was telling Lady Chan that she and I were discussing at one point. And shout out to Lady Chan, by the way. So, yeah, no matter if you like or dislike Wilder, think he's a bum or he's the greatest since sliced bread, boxing is more interesting with him. And that in it, and then that, not my opinion. Yeah, it's true. Wilder's still he's still at this point he is a big name. He's a big name, particularly in the heavyweight division. So it's like whenever he does something, people react to it. People just explode. Social media just go crazy whenever he says something or do something. I guarantee you this though, because I know in April, that's when his or April 9th, I believe, that's when his suspension is lifted. I guarantee you we're gonna start seeing Wilder pop up out of, everywhere, start training and start, doing interviews and stuff like that. And people are gonna start going crazy all over social media. So yeah. Oops, let me see. I didn't mean to use those question marks. I'm feeling not feeling well, man. I've been throwing up all night. Oh man, hey man, look. I appreciate you for coming on, man. But at the end of the day, you gotta take care of yourself. So I hope you feel better. Yeah, I'll try to get through this the best way I can. So I don't want to keep you up, man, because I know your body, you have to heal. That's more important. So, uh, so the idiot, I'm gonna block. I'm gonna do that right now. That's probably a troll account. Who knows? But he is a bitch, and he is a pimp. He's a failure in life. Yeah, yeah. Can't talk to failures. You can't talk to pimps. That's all I gotta say. No problem, man. No problem. So, anyways, I don't know why he called me a bitch. I don't even know this guy, but I don't know. Maybe because he's mad because I've said some constructive things about Anthony Joshua. I don't know. I don't know. And I've said many times, and Haplo, you can attest to this. I've said on many times on record that Anthony Joshua has a better resume than Deontay Wilder, who's accomplished more than Wilder. I've said that many times. I don't know why people think I'm being one-sided about the situation. I mean, oh boy. Look, part of me is glad that both of them lost. I'm just keeping it real. I'm saying that about Wilder too. He's my favorite heavyweight, but I'm part of me glad that both of them lost because ever since they both of them took back-to-back L's, bad beatings and bad losses, it seems like that crowd's kind of drifting away from social media. And I kind of predicted that was going to happen. Because it was just causing too much division. And yes, I know what started it all. That's why I don't really have much respect for the dude. That's why I had to unsubscribe to him because he took the shit way too far. All right, he's going around talking about, slandering Joshua, and I thought that was uncalled for. And then when somebody come back at him, and I'm not gonna name who it was, about him being a hypocrite on certain things when it comes to press credentials and stuff like that, then he makes a video responding to the guy talking about you should have talked to me, brother, behind the scenes. Attacking another black man. That's wrong. And yeah, here you are talking about, wait a minute, why are you victimizing yourself? And yet you attacked Joshua for slandering him for several years. And you openly admitted the reason why you did that because you were trying to go Joshua to fight Wilder. Okay. Okay. And because of what you started, a lot of people were divided over the issue. And now since Wilder and Joshua took both bad beatings, again, that crowd's kind of drifted away. They drifted away. They're starting to focus on other content. Some of them just didn't come back. So that's why I said part of me is glad both of them lost. I know I hate to sound harsh about it, but that's just how I feel, and that's the truth. So yeah. Yeah, man, I had to let the dude go. I mean, because I told him that if you call me a bitch, then say it. And he says that, well, I'll say it in your face. I'll pimp slap you. It's like, oh, you're a pimp. Okay, that means you're a fucking loser in life. You weren't raised properly. So I don't talk to losers. I don't talk to failures. So I have to get him out of here. Yeah. So what else is going on here? I got a few minutes. I wanted to go ahead and chop it up about a few things. So yeah, this whole thing narrative about Joshua don't need a trainer. It all goes back to the psyche, man. Joshua's just not ready to fight Usyk. I don't care what anybody say. He's clearly not ready, and he shouldn't go back in there, especially in a mini rematch like this. He needs more time to prepare. I say give him another 8 months to a year to get his confidence back because you could tell he's not confident. He's not confident at all, man. And again, we're 4 months in, and yet we still haven't heard any announcement about the date and venue of the rematch. This is getting ridiculous. At that point, Hearn is just going to have to come out and say, you know what, Joshua, just say, I don't know, man. I don't want to go out and say this, but fighters do this all the time. Say that Joshua got injured. That gives you the excuse to pull out of the fight. I don't know. I'm not suggesting it, but, well, actually, I am. But again, just say if you don't want the rematch, you don't want the rematch. Just say that. Jesus Christ, man! I don't know why they're stalling on this one. I'm just getting. We're all getting impatient about this. We are not just a Fury-Whyte situation, but the Usyk and Joshua situation. And by the way, Usyk is just sitting there just waiting because he can't control the situation. He signed on to the rematch clause, which is one way, which means should Joshua lose, he gets the right to exercise that rematch clause, and Ratchroom still gets to dictate and run the event for the rematch. And yet, Matchroom's just sitting down playing games on the situation. If I'm Usyk's team on Alexander Khrushchev, I'm looking at it. That's Usyk's manager promoter for K2. I'm looking at the situation like, I mean, are you guys gonna get this situated? Because we can't wait forever. I mean, we can't. So, me personally, I wouldn't be surprised if Usyk's team come out and say, you know what, you guys are taking forever to get this situated. We're going to move on. Now, I think, again, this could be another Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder situation because remember last time Tyson Fury's team tried to pull the same shenanigans and they end up being arbitrated in court and lost that case. So, um, if the contract is ironclad, then there's no way Usyk's team to get out of it. But at the same time, it is kind of discouraging to see that we're 4 months in and we have yet to hear anything about a date and venue of that rematch. Nothing. So, yeah, quick man. I clearly agree. Not ready, 100%. Yeah, he's clearly not ready for the fight. I mean, I just wish Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua just come out and say that, and then we'll move it along. The heavyweight division is getting tied up because of this situation. You got guys who are waiting in line to get their title shot. You got Joe Joyce waiting. You got Erbil Herkovich waiting. You got Tony Yoka that's climbing up the ranks. You got Frank Sanchez. Andy Ruiz wants another shot again. Joseph Parker, who knows, man, because he's being selective for what champion he wants to fight. Daniel Dubois coming up in weight. I'm not sure Dubois is ready for a elite title shot, but he's still, climbing up the ranks. You got Big Baby's still a prospect. Big Baby Anderson, that is, Jared Anderson. Who else is there? Luis Ortiz. Yes, he's an old man, but he's still in title contention. So you still got a long list of heavyweights that are still want to get their shot, and all this shit is getting tied up because of the shenanigans from the Fury-Whyte situation and the shenanigans of the Usyk Joshua situation. Ah, boy, it's just becoming frustrating as a boxing fan to witness this shit, man. I mean, seriously. Matchroom is trying to control the narrative. That's my opinion. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to hold on to control. Now, Eddie Hearn is desperate to hold on control of the heavyweight division. That's what he's trying to do. At this point, it seems like it's slipping away. So that's my take on it, man. Let me move along before I close this up. Oh, give me a second, guys. Mm-hmm. No, we're not. No, I'm sure. Don't worry, babe. Mm-hmm. I understand, babe. All right, guys. Back momentarily. Just having a little conversation with my wife. Um. So, what else we have on our list of topics? Okay, I guess it's just a quick one here. The DAZN-BT sport merger that has collapsed. In case you guys don't know, the Zone will not be acquiring BT. BT is going to move on, and they're going to go in talks with that. They're going to move on to an acquisition with Discovery, and I think Eurosport is also going to be a part of that business algorithm as well, part of the acquisition discussion. So, um, this is definitely a huge blow to the Zone because they were desperate of trying to increase their outreach. If BT, even though BT is not the obviously they're behind Sky as far as outreach is concerned, but the sticking point is that BT has the Premier League. They have rights to that, and they're paying billions of pounds for that. And if the Zone were able to get that, were able to acquire BT, they have access to the subscriber base that the BT Sport has. So, and from the word from the grapevine is that the Zone is really struggling with subscribers in the UK. I think they're under 100,000 subscribers, paying subscribers, that is. So, this is definitely a big blow. What does that mean for Eddie Hearn and Matchroom? I don't know if that this would affect their daily their operations. I would say I don't know, but expect some some financial there's some budget restructuring to occur now that the merger has died. So yeah, definitely a big blow to the zone. I know a lot of Matchroom fanboys were counting on the zone to purchase BT just to stick it at Frank Warren, but apparently since that has died down, that's died, I should say. It's yeah, this again, this is like man, this is like one thing after another when it comes to Matchroom the zone. One thing after another. I swear, 2022 is not looking good. Um, what else here? Oh, since we mentioned Deontay Wilder, I think David Higgins, Joseph Parker's promoter, Duco out in New Zealand, Oceania. He's interested in making the fight between Joseph Parker and Deontay Wilder. And speaking of Joseph Parker, he actually wants the Andy Ruiz rematch. In fact, his team has reached out to Andy Ruiz. They actually want to set up have a rematch. I'm kind of a little confused about that because Parker beat Ruiz. He beat him. It was a controversial decision, but he beat him. So why would you want to fight? I kind of get why Joseph wants that fight because Ruiz is a decent money fight to make. You probably make some good money fighting Ruiz. So I understand the situation. I kind of understand why now he wants that rematch, but I don't know. But then again, you have Joe Joyce, I believe, who offered a fight to Joseph Parker. I think Joseph Parker's team yet to respond to that I offer, so we'll have to wait and see. Speaking of Joseph Parker, I think he is moving on from Matchroom. I think he's going to be signing on to along with David Higgins. I think they're going to sign on over to Frank Warren's Queensbury promotion. So, uh, um, I don't know. We have to wait and see on that. Herkovich, I heard he's. I think there was another opponent they asked for him to take. Who was it they asked? That IBF is going down the list. I think they asked who did they ask, but this person ended up declining to fight as well. I mean, that's like 7 opponents that Phil Herkovich couldn't get. Who turned down the fight against him. So I mean, at this point, I think the IBF might as well just award him the mandatory, man, because it's just like he can't get a fight. Just give him the mandatory position, man. I mean, just seriously, just give it to him. Just award him the mandatory position in the IBF, and then as soon as this whole heavyweight situation mess get cleared up between Usyk and Joshua and Fury-Whyte, as soon as we get that cleared up, then the IBF and the other sanctioned bodies can start calling their mandatories. I know there's a rotation, so the WBA is next. So the WBA will call. I think I have a good feeling that they're going to call them mandatory right after Usyk and Joshua get their situation sorted out. So that'd probably be another year. But don't expect Undisputed to happen anytime soon. So you can forget about it. That's just my opinion. Keith Thurman is asking for 10-ounce gloves in a 147-pound fight. That's fucking whack. And it's funny though because it kind of reminds me because since I mentioned Fernando Vargas and Oscar De La Hoya, I remember many years ago, Oscar De La Hoya demanded 10-ounce gloves against Fernando Vargas, and I think that's part of the reason why Fernando got fucked up after that fight because De La Hoya demanded it and got what he wanted out of that situation. And I said, what the fuck? Why is De La Hoya a 154-pound fighter? A naturally small fighter, by the way. Why the fuck does he want 10-ounce gloves in a 154-pound fight? I don't get that. I know Fernando wasn't happy about that demand, but Fernando was like, nah, fuck that. I don't care. He can have 10-ounce gloves. I'll still beat his ass. And that's how confident Fernando was. But me personally, I kind of found that suspect. Not only that De La Hoya was delaying that fight over and over and over again, he was delaying that fight for a whole year. A whole year he was delaying that fight. And he kept making outrageous demands. He wanted 10-ounce gloves. I'm like, what the fuck? And I was telling my friends at the back in the day, I was like, nah, man, I don't like the fact that this guy's going around asking, not only pushing back the fight, stringing Fernando along, and now he wants 10-ounce gloves. Is he trying to hurt the guy? Permanently hurt him? And I think, again, part of the reason why Fernando's fucked up now because he fought a guy who was asking for smaller ounce gloves. It was able to batter him the way he did. I'm just being real. And I still give De La Hoya credit for that win, but he was acting like a diva in that situation with Fernando Vargas. A diva. Yeah, I thought that was crazy. But yeah, if Keith Thurman's asking for 10-ounce gloves, man, nah, nah, man, nah, Keith. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna lose a little bit more respect that I have for you already, man. I mean, seriously, why the fuck are you asking for 10-ounce gloves in a 147-pound fight? I mean, seriously. Yeah, you say those are standard, but hmm, I'm not sure that's standard. But I mean, I know you can ask for it. I think it's 160 and up that you can ask for 10-ounce gloves. I don't think it's 154. You could be right, Haplo, but the last time I remember, this is why I was upset about this with Oscar De La Hoya and Fernando Vargas, because this was a controversy at that time. Because I know 10-ounce gloves were 160 pounds and up, not no goddamn 154 at the time. All right, I'll go back and check, but I know again 2002 or 2001 that was controversy between with De La Hoya and Vargas about the 10-ounce gloves. Did you hear that Floyd's might take a $300 million fight against De La Hoya? Yeah, I heard something about that. Is it an exhibition bout or is it a professional bout? Because if it's an exhibition bout, I don't know. Will people still watch it? Maybe. But if it's a pro fight, maybe it'll throw a lot more eyeballs onto the screen than it would be an exhibition bout. But let's be real. Both fighters need to make money to stay afloat. De La Hoya's promotion is not doing great financially. They're, in my opinion, I think in my eyes, they're holding on to a thread. Floyd's going has a lot of financial issues. I mean, I know he's got back taxes that he owes. He's getting sued left and right. I heard there's a dispute with Heyman. The rumor mill is that Heyman's has Floyd's personal assets or finances tied up with the PBC budget, which means is that they're allocating production costs and fighter purses with Floyd's money. From what I've been hearing, I'm not sure if there's any truth to that, but that's what I heard. So I don't want to get sued, guys. That's just what I heard from an uploader. I'm not sure if that's true, but we'll have to see if more information comes out if that's actually the case. Uh, so let's see here. But yeah, if it does happen, I mean, I do expect it to be an exhibition bout, but if it's a pro bout, maybe it'll throw more eyeballs onto the screen. I can't see how they're going to make $300 million on an exhibition bout. I just don't see it. That'd be a tough thing to do. All right, yeah, I'm gonna do some research on that. TFT text me and they're suing Dan. All right. They're suing me. Okay. I'm just saying. I just said I heard. I didn't say it was fact. I heard it from an uploader. If they need to know who that uploader is, I'll tell you who it is because he told everybody on his upload through his own audience, this is what's happening. That's where we got the information from. That's all I'm saying. They can't do anything but an exhibition because they're in the Hall of Fame. Uh, maybe you're probably right about that, but who knows? Countersume, Dan. $2 million for pain and suffering. Hey, okay. Hey. I don't know. Like I said, they come after me. I'm just a small channel. I'm just only saying what was being shared on social media. So if you're gonna come after me, go after other people too who's spreading that information out. So I just said that's why I say I heard. I didn't say it's fact. You can't sue me just because I made an assumption. That's all. um, legally, you can't do that. I guess that's it, guys. I mean, it's getting late. I mean, it's still kind of early, not saying early in the evening, but it is kind of somewhat getting out late in the evening on the West Coast side of things. But Thurman and Barrios is on Saturday. Those on the East Coast is almost midnight, but those in the UK, the fight's happening tomorrow, whatnot. So, or Sunday in the morning, I believe, at 5:30, 3 a.m. or something like that. But anyhow, yeah, so we got that. We got the Eubank and Williams undercard, fight card coming up in the UK with Boxer on Sky. So actually, it's actually going to be a pretty good day of boxing on Saturday. So can't wait, man. It's going to be plenty of fights, some interesting fights. Yeah, you got Quadras versus Jesse Rodriguez for the WBC title. Ramazai had to pull out due to, I think he got struck with COVID, whatnot. So what else we got here? So, hmm. Okay, so yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna go ahead and shut this down, guys. Let me see here. Quick says that, hey, I mean, I know it's none of my business, but it's curious, just curious to me. But I remember one time Prince was talking about the people that depended on him for a paycheck. These superstars have a lot over their head, a lot of overheads. Yeah, they do. I mean, Floyd has a lot of associates. He has to pay them. So that's why me personally, if I was in that position, I wouldn't have too many people around me. I don't know. I'm a good type of guy who doesn't like to be surrounded with a whole group of people. That's just me, man. I mean, call it weird, call it claustrophobic. I mean, I don't care, but me, I don't like to be around like a lots of people, man. That's just not me. But at the same time, if you're a guy who's you're an athlete, I guess it makes you feel good because you're revered. But to pay people to be around you like that, man, I couldn't do that. I couldn't. That's just me. Unless I need some protection, like some bodyguards, that's only people that get paid. Detail, that's all I'm paying. That's who I'm paying. I'm not paying associates. What am I paying associates for? To be my attack dog? I guess. But that's it. Like Leonard Elderby, he's the attack dog for Floyd Mayweather, the money team. That's what he's been doing for years, for many years. So, yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna shut this down, guys. Hey, shout out to Quick, shout out to Haplotype, shout out to Actual Facts. Who else that came in here? Not too many of you. All get the smoke. Uh, and once again, and Mala, who's in here momentarily. But other than that, I just want to say once again, shout out and rest in peace to Kurt Anderson, aka Kurt Sugar. Um, Brother, you be missed. I miss the great conversations that we had, and they will still be remembered. And I'll still bring up the points that you made just to a just to support an argument when it comes to fighters of yesterday. So yeah, man. Shout out to everybody. I wish you guys a good night and have a safe weekend, the upcoming weekend, which will start tomorrow. So yeah, living God, fulfilled life. As long as you live, as long as you have Jesus Christ in your life, you don't need a lot of people hanging around you. I totally agree with that sentiment to the fullest. I couldn't agree more. So, and shout out to living a God-filled life. God-filled life. Shout out to you for coming in momentarily. So, I'm going to shut this down, guys. Until I catch you on the next one, I'm out. Peace.